Hello and welcome to episode 269 of the Wisdom in the Tangents podcast. I'm your host, John Mansfield, and today we're wrapping up our countdown of your favorite episodes of 2025. Welcome to 2026, by the way. This is first episode of 2026. Very exciting. Decided to do this on January 1st instead of, a Tuesday, just because it'd be more fun. And I hope you're having fun. You're like, oh, wow. Oh, on a Thursday? John, craziness of 2026. But yeah, welcome to the new year. This is going to be a good year. We're speaking positivity into this year. We're speaking positivity over our businesses and our lives. And I'm very excited to see what this year has in store for all of us. And as we look back at last year, we are counting down your top 5 favorite episodes. Last episode, we went over episodes 5, 4, and 3 in the countdown. And today we're getting 2 and 1. Which is what's left. And before we get into your second favorite episode of the year, I have to say, I just caught myself in I'm looking at the camera, but I'm like, I can see myself on the computer, and I do in flannel. I look a lot like Al Borland. So Tony Christine, you are correct. I doubted you all those years ago when you were like, you look like Al from Home Improvement. I'll put up like a side-by-side of, we could be brothers. Or he's probably old enough to be my dad, honestly, because that show came out in like the 90s. Because I'm like Jonathan Taylor Thomas's age-ish. Anyway, let's get into your second favorite. Sorry, I just saw myself and I was like, I have to address this. It's going to be on my mind if I don't. But your second favorite episode of the year was an episode about brand photography. We were talking about how gatekept it can feel, that whole industry, especially for those of us who maybe like built our businesses outside of brand photography and want to get into it and have no idea how to do it. I talked with Karen Williams, aka the Black Visual Queen, and y'all loved it. And I loved it too. This was such a great episode. It was really hard to pick just like one little clip to share in this countdown. I was like, oh, but I want to share this. And she told this really good story. And this is a really great tip. So if you're at all interested in brand photography, you should definitely go listen to the full episode, which is episode 249. But I'm going to go ahead and get into my conversation, or at least a clip of my conversation with Karen Williams. Your number 2. Number 2. And yeah, going back to that, like taking the tools and then using your creativity to build something with those tools, that's going to get you to that great photo. And that will, just as in any genre of photography, I'm primarily a wedding photographer. I could easily go look at Jose Villa. I could look at Jason Vincent. I could look at like these big wedding photographers and then try and emulate exactly what they're doing. And I would be the cheap version of Jose Villa. They're like, well,
and you don't want that. I don't want you that for a photographer.
No. I want to get up there with them, but in a different way that people are looking at my stuff and being like, oh yeah, I can tell this is John's, or I can tell
exactly
we're
that's
hiring you
want.
Because of this. Yeah. Yeah. And the same with taking brand photography photos is you want people to be like, okay, I saw what you did for this brand. I want you to do your magic with mine, not I want you to pose my products the exact same way that you did for this other one.
You're speaking my language. That's what I always say. Like that's what you want. Like that's a red flag. Now, here's the thing. I always will tell photographers, look, if you get that step and repeat your client that, it's just like paint by the numbers, but they pay you so much where it's like, oh, my mortgage is paid off right for a year or something like that. Okay, you can take those jobs. Don't put it in your portfolio. Just do the jobs, get it done. But at the end of the day, you want someone to come and appreciate what you do and be like, I love what you do. Maybe there got to be some minor tweaks, obviously, or something like that. But you shouldn't be like, okay, if you're a black and white, film photographer and someone's come to you, I love your work. Now I need you to shoot all in color and digital. That's a red flag for me. It's like,
Yeah.
You don't understand.
But have you seen my portfolio?
Yeah, exactly. There's a disconnect where it's like, there's a reason why people specialize in certain things. Not saying, specialize in certain niches like food and still life and portraiture. Because again, at first, I think people are, most photographers are passionate about it, and you can always see the passion. So when I see a photographer who's trying to do everything in the niche, I'm like, okay, this is great, and I know you love it, but these other things need work. And I always say, don't look at it as like, it's not that you can't shoot every niche. I always say master one, say portrait, and then say, okay, this is my visual, aesthetic and style. Now, how do I apply it to now? I want to try to do still life. Or, for example, when I was working with the food photographer, amazing food, I would hire her. I don't have to worry about it. But then she wanted to get into portraiture. Okay. It wasn't up to snuff at that time to be able to say, because, again, food and chefs, naturally you want to have that transition. But right. I told her, it's like, okay, just start shooting people, start shooting. How does your style, what you do with food, apply to portraiture? You know what I mean? Where it's comparable. Because I always say, when you look at that's why I say do your research, because you'll see some of these photographers that you admire, they're shooting different things. But you see the consistency. You don't see like they're great with this, and then all of a sudden a drop in this other area. There's a consistency because they have figured out how to apply what they do to multiple genres.
Yes.
Niches.
For someone who's wanting to get in, maybe they've done like no brand photos at all. They've maybe they haven't even like started a business yet. They're like, I want to jump into this. Do you recommend that they kind of like put a foot in all the different niches of like food photography, portraiture, brand products, or just kind of like start with one, try and master it, and then branch out?
So I'm going to sound like a broken record. So if you're brand new and you're like, I want to shoot for brand, first go back to, like I said, those questions of like, what do you ultimately want to be doing with your photography? What do you want to be shooting? So maybe it's multiple things. Maybe it's like, I want to shoot Taco Bell, but I also want to shoot Nike, and I want to shoot still life and stuff like that. Really understand, first get research and understand the kind of the genre and kind of what's out there. Then you can experiment. Because I always say, if you build a strong foundation of the research and understand what you need to be doing, then when you're experimenting, you're not wasting time and money, because okay, maybe let's start with the food photography and still life kind of going parallel. And then maybe you start gravitating towards one or another, and you're kind of like, okay, I really like the still life versus food. That was like, I liked it, but I wasn't really passionate. And are you going to put your all in it? Because again, when you're shooting for brands, again, you're dealing with the budget, and you're dealing with time and money, where they're not going to give you, like, you're not going to have like a second research. You got to get it done. And, when you're there. So I always say, understand what you want to shoot, start experimenting, and how you can do that. Because a lot of people like, I don't have the funds to be doing all these test shoots or something like that. I always say collaborations are your friend, because I'm like, start with your local businesses, like a mom and pop, restaurant, or maybe you want to shoot hotels and be in that space and hospitality, where some local boutiques or peer space where you can rent out spaces like for $50 an hour. You got to get creative. Or if you're in fashion, if you want to go in that range, or still life, start networking with other stylists or other people in that space, and maybe be like, hey, let's come together and do this project, and we all get something for our portfolios. They bring a certain thing to it. So I always say, really first, before you even start anything, really understand what you want to be trying to do. Do that research, write it down, make a mood board. This is kind of the look, feel, whatever. So you have that kind of initial, kind of data to start. So when you are now beginning to experiment, you're being able to make strategic decisions, and not just like, I'm just going to wing it. And then you're wasting a lot of time and money, as I say.
And then months down the line, you're like, actually, this was not what I needed to do. This was not what I was wanting. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
For pitching to do some collaborations like that, I know a lot of people are probably like, but like, how do I ask and not feel like I'm just like wanting to, take their stuff for free? Like, how can we pitch that to where it
feels a little bit more like collaborative and really showing that they are receiving benefit from this as well.
You go at it like you were pitching someone like for an idea on a project. You go in, you make a I wouldn't say a pitch deck, but what you feel like would be appropriate, and you just have a conversation like, hey, I always say about transparency is like, hey, I would love, always try to find a love of like, hey, if I love this mom and pop, I've always loved going here. I'm now trying to pivot into, more food photography, brand photography. And I would love to work with you on photographing, your new kind of menu lineup. And here's my, come with an idea, come with the concept and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking, but I would love to collaborate. And hey, I would love to shoot this for free for you and let you have the images for you to use. And have that exchange of like, I just want to use these, for my portfolio basis, always and then being clear on the terms of like, you're not trying to make money off of this, or like they're able to use, the receiver of like the images are able to use it however they want. It's kind of like, but I always say, don't just go and be like, hey, I just want to shoot. No, come with a plan, come with like your concepts of what you're thinking, come into like, especially when you're like, try to make a connection. Don't just go out of the blue. Try to do that research of like, maybe you don't know the boutique owner or something like that, but try to find a connection, research their stores, see how you can make that connection and that your service can help them.
Yeah.
And be a service to them.
Yeah. No, I love the showing up with a plan. Because that takes you from just the random DM of, hey, I'd love to take photos of your stuff to, hey, I have this. I love what you do. And, I think this would be a really great shoot. Would you be interested? Cause I've had those DMs of like, hey, I'd love to work together and have you photograph me. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, what are we talking about? Like, do you have something in mind? And then we can move forward. But yeah, it's just kind of like when you come to someone of just like, hey, I want to take photos of your stuff. It's like taking the ball and just like leaving it there instead of like going back and forth.
It's just, you're saying like, cause to kind of piggy off your idea of like, when you're trying to pitch brands of like, you're sending me an email and it sounds like, dear sir, ma'am, I'm a photographer. I shoot food versus, hey, and trying to figure out the name of the person you should be contacting. Like, I really loved what Nike did with the Black female basketball players in this ad campaign, and, really trying to tie it back and like, oh, I also shoot portraits of athletes, and you're trying to always connect it back to first showing that you care and that you've done research and you're just not a rando. And then also presenting of like how you can be of service versus give me, and how are you helping to solve a problem for them? Because of like, again, with the food, example of like the mom and pop, restaurant, you can be like, oh, I just really noticed that you really need updated visuals, on your website and, on your menu items. And I would love to help with that. And I have an idea for a project that I would love to be able to include in my portfolio. And then you get the conversation started and then you hammer out the details.
Number 2. That was such a great conversation. Like, seriously, I could have included the entire episode, and maybe I'll do that on a little sneaky promo here before I actually launch this. I might include a full ad-free episode of that on Patreon, because I've started a Patreon for the podcast, which you can go and support for free. There's a free membership there where you can there's going to be a few different things that I will announce whenever I officially announce this that you can do for free. But then there's also a paid tier, which is super cheap, less than a cup of coffee. Or you could buy me a cup of coffee and I'll let you in for free. Buy me a cup of coffee every month and I'll let you in for free. That's how we do this. But yeah, there's a Patreon where you can listen to the podcast ad free. And there's also going to be a ton of coaching stuff over there. But this is not the launch of that. I was just saying, I think I should release the full episode ad-free over on Patreon. So I think I will this week. So you can go join and check that out. But seriously, it was such a great full episode. And that was a great little clip that I put together. So way to go, John, for picking that clip.
Have you ever learned something that you feel like you learned way too late in life? I feel like that guy from Instagram who's like, here's something I didn't know until my 30s, because here is something I didn't know until I was in my 30s. Your savings account can actually make you money. And I'm not talking about like traditional savings accounts that are making you like 0.01 to 0.3% interest, just pennies. That's pennies, people. I'm talking 1.5 to over 4% interest. That doesn't sound like much, but if you're talking numbers, let's say you have like $5,000 in your savings account for taxes at the end of the year, that's the difference between accruing $15 and $200 extra dollars. Now, this is a high yield savings account. I've talked about these a few times on the podcast, but now I have partnered with Sofi to bring you a little extra money. Whenever you start your free high yield savings account through Sofi, they will deposit an extra $25 in there for you for free. That's literally free money. And yes, this high yield savings account is just like a normal savings account where you can access your money. You don't have to like wait for 7 to 10 business days until you can get anything out. It's a normal savings account, except you're making more money. So go to allheartphoto.com/SoFi. That's allheartphoto.com/SOFI and let your money make you money.
But yeah, Karen Williams, if you want to go listen to the full episode with ads, you can go check out episode 249 and moving right into number 1, which also such a great episode, the whole thing, which you know what? I'm just going to throw that up on Patreon as well, ad free. You're just getting all the things. But this episode was one that they say, like, shoot for the stars, you'll land on the moon. Someone says that. And I was like, you know what? There's this guy who has been in the industry for years, decades. And I really wanted to talk with him. And I was like, I'm just gonna pitch it. I know he doesn't really do podcasts anymore, but maybe. And that maybe was a no. At first, honestly. But then he came back and was like, you know what? Yes. And I am very grateful. So thank you so much if you're watching this recap. But yeah, and y'all obviously love this. This was the number 1 episode of the year in 2025. And that was episode 239, if you want to listen to the full thing, or go join Patreon. Episode 239 with Pye Jirsa. We talked about a lot of different things. We just kind of like popcorned around, talking about photography, being in the industry that long, what it looks like. And one of the things that we talked about was whether or not you could really call yourself a self-made photographer, like self-taught. And I loved that part of the episode. So that is this clip where we talk about, can you really be a self-taught photographer, among a few other things. But here is that clip of your number 1 episode of the year with Pye Jirsa. Number 1.
One of the biggest things that I encourage photographers to do is to find good quality education, to find good mentors, and to invest in it. It's honestly one of the most difficult things that I've sold. I love sales, and I've sold a lot of different things. One of the most difficult is trying to convince people to invest in their education. And for the life of me, I don't personally understand it necessarily. I don't understand the hesitation, because for me, I've always invested in education throughout the entire time that I'm learning, I'm growing. Even right now, there is a high level sales seminar that I've signed up for that starts tonight. And I'm like, I can't wait to go and do this, to take these skill set and go even further. So regardless of where I am in my life and my career, I love investing in good education and getting mentors, because I firmly believe in this idea that you don't know what you don't know. And what that means is not usually what people think it means. What people think it means is like, oh, well, whatever I don't know, I can just go onto YouTube and I can just search it up.
Right.
But that's not true. YouTube is a great place. The internet and with ChatGPT, all these things are fantastic resources to be able to search for topics that you already have an understanding of. Like, I want to dive a little bit deeper into one specific thing. Okay, well, great. You can find a lot of different things online. You still have to filter and figure out which ones of these are reputable and good. But the problem with that I'm describing is different. You don't know what you don't know is that you have no idea what you should even be searching for. You have no idea what's the next step. You have no idea, how should you go from this place to this place? So instead, we go down this loop of like trial and error. We go through this process of, well, I'm just going to figure it out. And people spend years in that place, years where they're just kind of banging their head against the wall going like, why isn't this thing working? And how come this? And I'm like, because you're literally doing the same thing you've been doing for years and you're expecting different results. And that's not quite how it works.
Yeah.
And so the easiest way to kind of make these skill gap hurdles is actually just investing in good education, good mentoring. And I say good because there's a lot of garbage out there.
Yeah.
So it's challenging, but it's like, I wish that were something that I could impart on people, because that's really been one of the greatest skills, one of the greatest value sets I feel like that I've leveraged is just, if I find good education, I'll buy it. And that's made our growth exponential. As opposed to kind of trying to figure things out and stumble your way through the process.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was 100% me. Like I was saying earlier, like I'd always tried to do things on my own. So I had YouTube University. I was like, yeah, I can. It's like you were saying, it's like the difference between that known unknown of like, I know that I don't know this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna like I'll search on YouTube and I'll didn't have ChatGPT back then, but Google whatever. I'd find some books and try and learn what I thought I needed to know to grow. But it's that unknown of like I didn't even know I needed to know this.
Yeah.
That those are the aha moments. Those are those game changers of like, oh, this changes everything.
Yeah,
like,
it's
if I knew
different.
this before, and that's where those mentors come in. And there's a lot of trash out there. There's a lot to sift through, but there's some really amazing people that they're gonna like walk with you and actually like look and invest in you and your business instead of just like, hey, this is my blanket everything, like this will work for everyone, like those kinds of things. That they don't work for everyone. They worked for that person, and it might work for you if you're similar, but yeah, it's hard to know those things that you don't know. It's like it's hard to figure it out on your own without just stumbling into it by accident.
It's literally impossible. And the amount of money that we leave on the table is staggering. The amount of time and effort. I firmly believe that photographers, they don't. Have you heard the statistic of something like 80%, 90% of photographers will churn out of the industry within like 5 years? Have you heard of that?
Yeah.
Okay. I firmly believe, most of us, I think, would think that like they're churning out because they weren't good enough to make it, right? I know for a fact that it's not that, because you probably see them a lot of times when they churn out, you're like, man, you're doing great work. Like your photos are absolutely awesome. It has nothing to do with the quality of their work. And what I believe is that they churn out because of this. It's kind of a combination of things that leads to burnout, where it's not the kind of burnout you think of like, oh my God, I'm so tired of being successful at this thing. It's the process of like trial and error of trying to figure things out and it not working. So they get 3 to 5 years in their business. They've kind of cobbled together something that sort of works. They got a little bit of revenue. Maybe they're paying a little bit of the bills, but they're working hard and they're barely able to survive. And you do that for a few years and you're like, man, there are a lot of easier ways of making a living than just to continue doing this. And so after 5 years, they burn out because the juice just wasn't worth the squeeze. Like they're just like, I'm tired of doing this same thing. And so when I go, you need to invest in good education or mentorship. It's what I'm really saying is like that's kind of the only way to get past this sustainability barrier. You're getting this place where you're burning out because what you're doing to make your business work is just not sustainable, and it's very difficult to overcome that on your own because you don't necessarily know what it is that's going wrong, what it is that I need to change or adjust. There's a part of this mentality that is very commendable, but it's kind of a double-edged sword. I know why this mentality exists because usually people that go and try to start a business, they're kind of self-starters. They want to do things, they want to figure things out, they want to take things on, and they like those challenges. And that's great. Like you want that as a business owner, but you don't want that to override everything. Like why would I kind of spend all my time reinventing the wheel when I could just pick up a wheel, put 4 of them onto my car, and then start working on the next component, the next piece of the business? It just doesn't make any sense. But I get the reason why we have it. The reason why we have it is we're kind of self-starters. We want to drive for this goal and want to move forward in it. But at a certain point, it's very counterproductive.
Yeah. I think at least for me, it was a lot of ego too, of like, I want to do this on my own.
Yeah.
I want to have that, like that pride of, yeah, I'm self-taught. So like whenever people are just like, oh, wow, you like, how'd you learn how to do it? Oh, I taught myself. I just looked at the camera and I was like, oh, I can figure this out. And like you can get to a certain point in that, and you can get to a certain point in figuring out your business on your own and being a self-taught solopreneur.
Yeah.
But then
well, I have a question for you on that, John, because
yes,
my background is psychology, and that's one of the most fascinating things to me.
I love psychology.
There is a very deep want and need for a lot of people to be able to say, I'm self-taught. But whenever I hear that, I go, what does that actually mean? What does it mean to you, John, when you say self-taught?
Whenever I've asked myself this question, like when I looked back and I was like, why was that so important to me?
Yeah.
I didn't really have a solid answer. I didn't have like it's because of this. But I think it is like, I wanted to make sure that I knew what I was doing. And like, there was, I don't know, there's this sense of pride of, I did this.
Yeah.
Like, I built this with my own hands. I am, I'm smart. I want people to know that I can do this. And I didn't just like buy a handbook that was just like, do this, now invest in that, and learn this thing and buy this camera and do this thing. And like I think for me, it almost seemed like there was more value in it if I learned myself, if I just like, if it came to me, if I was just looking at my camera and like, I don't know, what is this ISO? What does that mean? And just, which fun story, I did not know what that meant. So I was shooting at like 1600 ISO for the first 3 years of my business, full sun, everything, just the same
images.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And and that was like way back on like the early digital Nikons, which were not great. Like that was pushing it. But like there was
it's the reason why I ask, it's a funny thing because I ask because I challenge the idea of, is there even such a thing as being self-taught? Like that's the notion that I think is silly, because can you truly be self-taught? You mentioned yourself, at some point you got to pick up a book or watch a video.
Right. You're learning
as soon as you do that,
book.
You're not self-taught anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was the shift for me, of seeing that the YouTube videos I was watching, the books I was reading, the articles, and the even the camera manuals and all of that those were tools to help me grow in my knowledge and skills. And the big shift for me was seeing other educators, other people who had done this before. They've already beaten this level. They're on it like level 7 now. And they're like, oh yeah, I can show you the shortcuts on how to get through level 2. And like that, seeing them as a tool to help me grow was like the big shift for me, instead of just seeing them as like someone who's like, oh well, I know more than you, so I'm going to show you this, or I
Sure.
can show you this for a certain amount of money, but seeing that as like, oh, that is just a different way of learning. That's a different tool, and it's also like a way better tool than just a random YouTube video that I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'll learn something from this.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm of the opinion, I would say belief at this point, that there is really no such thing as self-taught. We do put a lot of like ego and a lot of pride into that notion.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you truly want to be self-taught, then you need to pick up a camera and not talk to anybody. Don't read any articles.
Yep.
Don't watch YouTube. Don't, take a tutorial. Don't read a magazine. Like,
don't look at anyone's photos that anyone has ever taken, because you might get a little inspiration from that.
Yeah. As soon as you pick up something, you're no longer self-taught, right? Because someone is creating that education. Someone is writing that article. Someone is doing some of the helping and getting to a destination. So if we really want to buy into this like kind of ego-driven idea that I'm self-taught, then you can't do any of it. Or we could kind of give up such a silly idea and realize that it never really existed in the first place, because we're born to parents who start teaching us regardless. So never can we be truly self-taught. So if that's the case, then why not jump on the fast track on everything you do? Why not, like, regardless of what it is that you want to learn or what you want to do, why not go straight to the place where you can get the best information, wherever that place be, and then like kind of make that your learning process?
Yeah. I mean, it's, I want the listeners to hear that, just like, because I know that there's so many people out there that are in that mindset of, I can do this on my own. I'm going to grow this. I am, and just like that notion of, oh wait, nothing that I've done has been self-taught. I have learned from so many people. Because like, as you were saying that, like, I was thinking like, who could be self-taught? Like maybe Tarzan, because he was just like away from people. But then like he was taught by like animals. The gorillas and animals, and like even being away from society and people, you're still learning from other things. And there's no way to be completely self-taught.
Yeah, people will try to monetize every little piece of success that they have, especially in the education space. If someone gains 10,000 followers from a video, they're now a social media expert, right? And they're like, let me teach you how you can, I grew my Instagram count from 1 follower to 10,000 in 3 months, and you can do it too. Or similarly, like someone goes and they land their first $10,000 job, or they hit their first $10,000 month, and they're like, let me teach you how to be how to win $10,000 contracts. Yeah. Or even the silly idea of 6 figures, right? Like I'm going to teach you how to be a 6-figure photographer. Our mentorship program is called 10K 2K. It basically stands for like, I'm gonna get you to $10,000 a month, which is basically $120,000 a year. That's the baseline promise, is like, we need to get you to 6 figures, because that's like the baseline. It's like, you can finally pay your bills. 120,000 in revenue doesn't mean 120,000 take home. It means that you're probably taking home 50, 60, 70, $80,000, and you have enough to survive.
Yeah.
But people will take these like little tiny wins and try to leverage it into something that is much larger than it is. And I'm like, man, if you could just instead focus on that thing, like you had a little win there. If you can just keep focusing on that, you can eventually turn this into a really big win. And then you can start teaching from that perspective. Like I have no problem with I welcome more coaches, more educators. There's so much for me to learn. And I love it when people have like Alex or Mosey is one of my favorite people to kind of watch and absorb from, because he's taken what we've done and he's amplified it another 50 times. And I'm like, that's the next place that I would like to go. But I think the need there to kind of instantly gratify ourselves by turning this one win into like its own business is kind of killing a lot of different industries. Like I want to learn, if I'm going to learn from somebody on Instagram, I want to learn from the person who has millions of followers, who's turned it into a successful business and who does it sustainably over the course of 5 or 10 years. That's who I want to learn from. And it should be the same way. Anytime we look for a coach, when we look for a mentor, when we look for an educator that we want to follow, we should be looking for people that have demonstrated sustained examples of success, not one-offs. Yes. One-offs are absolutely useless. And we shouldn't get lost in like, oh, this person had one video that did well. And so I got to go and learn from them, or they're the experts on this. That's not kind of the way that works.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that a lot of like, hey, this is my TikTok strategy and how I got 3 million views on my video. And then you go and it's like, you pinned this one that has 3 million, but the one here has like 350.
Yeah.
This one has 1,200.
Isn't it
it's
insane?
Like, it's not sustained. You're not sustaining this. And yeah, sure. Like there's the whole algorithm thing you got to work with. But if you're saying I have this proven system, like it has to be sustainable. It can't just be a fluke.
Yes.
And number 1. That was so good. Okay. Thank you, Pye, for coming on the show. Thank you, Karen, for coming on the show. Thank you for all the guests who show up here and talk with me and share really great value and strategy and stories with you, the listeners, and with me because they're talking to me. But I thank you all so much, all the guests who have been on the show, all of you listeners, whether you have listened to all the episodes of 2025, just one episode, maybe this is your first one. Thank you for tuning in. Or if you have been an oldie but a goodie listening from the very beginning when we were recording these in bars and restaurants for some reason, we thought that would be a good idea. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for supporting this podcast. And I want to support you. I want to build more of a community around this podcast, around coaching and growing. We used to do live coaching calls in the Facebook group, and Facebook groups have kind of gone away. We're not really hanging out there anymore. I don't open the Facebook app hardly ever, to be honest. So I'm wanting to kind of cultivate a new place. So that new place is going to be Patreon. I talked about that. This is not the official launch. I don't know why I'm talking about this again, probably because it's been on my mind a lot the last few weeks. So yeah, you can go check it out. I'll put a link in the show notes for you who are listening right now. And then the official launch, everyone else can get in. But there is an early bird special where you can get a discounted rate of your membership. But anyway, I just really enjoy showing up here for y'all. I enjoy whenever I get to hear from you in the DMs, in person at different conferences. And it's really great. I love this podcast. I love this community, and I want to continue to grow it, and for all of us to continue to continue to make the world a better place. And that's what I want you to do until next week. And then also continue doing that after next week. That was a weird way of saying it, but I will see you guys later on in 2026. Bye, y'all.